Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam, Graydon, and the team as Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
This episode is presented in partnership with Recap Recovery Drink. Recap Recovery is your go-to when recharging your batteries. Whether it's after a hard workout or a long night with friends at the bar, Recap replenishes your body with a refreshing taste, rich in electrolytes to bring you back to full steam after a hard day or night's work. Recap Recovery has hit the market at Couche-Tard, and you'll want to bring it home to taste today. Check them out at recap-products.com to make your order and find them when they'll be available in stores near you. Recap Recovery is also a proud partner of Dexter Stacy, and we're proud to rep them on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast in 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. And
keep that.
Official Wade is going to be really excited because Wade Yarrow has been pushing for us to get Danny Benedict on the show since we started the podcast, and now it's finally happened. And we are excited, man. Danny Benedict, track champion in the late models last year at Sunset Speedway and APC regular. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me, and thanks to Wade for pushing. I thought it was just my mom, but I guess maybe there is other people that like me in this world.
Well, definitely. I definitely hope. We didn't get the message from Mom, but I'm sure she's happy that you're on the show too. But how's things going, man? You announced a really big deal with North Country Property Maintenance coming on board the 54 this season. Race in the books for the opener at Sunset Speedway wasn't maybe the best day for you guys, but you got the gremlins sorted out, and you got the APC opener this Saturday. Are you ready to go?
Oh yeah, man. Yeah. Like you said, the opener, not our night, not a good night to be Danny Benedict, that's for sure. But you know what? That was our goal going into that race. That's why we try to do at least one race before the APC schedule gets going. It's just get those bugs out of the way, especially with a brand new car. You know, you think you got everything perfect, and the next thing you know, the weirdest stuff seems to happen. So, you know, as negative as the day was, there was some positives. Like we did show some good speed throughout the day. So I was really happy about that. Really happy with the way the car handled, and you know, you take away all those little bugs and gremlins, and you know, the day goes a lot better. So since then we've tested once, and there was no issues, which I don't know if that scares me or if that makes me feel good, because I'm like, okay, great, they're just saving it for Sunset now. But you know, I think we got them all out of the way, and like I said, I've been really happy with the car so far. It is a new piece to us, so it's been a bit of a learning curve. It's quite a bit different than my old car, so just getting comfortable with it and everything. But I think it's gonna be a really good piece. I'm really happy with it. The guys at MRE definitely did a really good job, and they're just awesome to work with.
Well, you covered that well, because I was going to say that it was noted that you have a new car this year, and there is a certain thing when it isn't the same animal that you're used to for a few seasons back to back to back, that there is a learning curve, and it is kind of nice to have quote unquote, for lack of a better term, a throwaway race, at least, where you can shake it down in real race conditions and not just be out there in like single car runs, or maybe you kind of get in a little pack, but where you actually can race it and see how it's going to behave when you want to do your thing with it.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's one thing to go out and log laps by yourself, and it's another thing to get in a race. So at that point, I would say we were still in the let's just get some laps in and see how it goes. But yeah, no, I'm happy with it. Like I said, this is my second McCall car now, and those guys are just awesome to work with. They're a really, really solid group of guys, and it's one of those things where, hey, even if we don't have it figured out, we're gonna figure it out. So, I'm excited to get going, and I think we'll have a good piece for Sunset this Saturday. I'm pretty confident in that. I think we got all the bugs worked out, and I think we're ready to go.
You seem to know what you're doing behind the wheel, anyway. Eh?
Some days I wonder, but I. Me and Paul Genioli always laugh because sometimes I'll just look at him. I'll say, "Am I the problem? Like, am I Taylor Swift here? Like, am I the problem? Is it me?" And he just laughs. And sometimes he says, "No, you're fine," and other times he just doesn't say anything. Which I'm like, "Okay, I guess it is me then. Thanks a lot." But, no, it's nice. It's one of those things too where, like, as a driver, I find that the best ones always understand that there's always more to learn. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm the best driver," blah 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 blah, whatever. There's always stuff to learn. There's always those new setups out there, and when those do come along, you got to adjust to that as a driver. You gotta learn to change your driving style and adapt to different things. And especially with the APC series being the way it is, going track to track to track. When I started with the APC series, I had only run a late model at Sunset. So I think we did a couple Salva races, but I hadn't been to Flamborough, Delaware, Jukasa. Those were all tour. Yeah, exactly. The whole tour. So, going to some of those tracks for the first time, it was like, oh my God, like I can't get her my own way. I remember the first time I went to Delaware Speedway, we were like, I don't know, 26th in practice or something. And I always know we're having a bad day because my dad will come up to the window and he'll be like, "Hey, buddy, what's wrong with the car, man?" And I'll just be like, "I don't know. I can't drive the friggin' thing." And he's like, "Well, like, where's it the worst?" And I'm like, "Going down the front stretch, when I hit the bump, the thing wants to slam into the wall. Like, I don't know what the hell's up with this place." But once we got some laps around some of those tracks, it was you get a lot more comfortable. And but yeah, you got to be able to adapt like that, and you gotta understand how the tour works. So I wouldn't say we got it figured out by any means, but I mean, we've definitely gained a lot of experience.
We've seen a couple guys get out and get their first wins in the APC series. I'd say if there's somebody that's overdue for a win, it's Danny Benedict. The competition level in this series, though, that's a big part of it. It seems like no matter what, there's always 4, 5, 6 guys in the battle for the championship. Now, JR has seemed to get back to normal over the past couple of years after some struggles. So is he the guy that you guys got to try and do you think that's going to be the toughest on top once again?
It's hard to say. Like you said, there's a ton of competition in that series, and I have a ton of respect for JR. I grew up a JR fan, as much as I absolutely hate to admit that. I was a big fan of his, and we are friends now, but I'm just bugging him. But no, JR.
No, you're not. No, you're not. Rivalry.
No, I have one of his doors hanging up in my shop.
There you go.
From last year, actually. The first race at Sunset, I doored his brand new car. Oh. And on the last lap, passed him for third. And he said the whole year, he's like, "At the end of the year, I'm taking that door off and I'm giving it to you." So a couple weeks ago, I was down at McCall's and he showed up and he goes, "There's something for you in your trailer." I walked out and his door from his championship car was there. It said, it says on it, "To Danny B, you were here in 22. See you in 23, JR." So that was kind of cool. So we got that in the shop right now, and it's funny. It's good to have.
Sweet gift.
It's nice to have relationships with some of the guys like that. But I think
Totally.
in JR's case, he is, I would say, probably the most experienced driver on the tour. He has driven everything. He has won in everything. I had a conversation with someone on the weekend over a couple cold ones, maybe. We were talking about, in our opinion, who the best driver in Ontario was, and I don't even want to say this, but we both agreed that we believe that it is JR, and just everything that he's accomplished and everything that he's done. I think it just gives him that kind of veteran perspective on everything, and he seems to know, it's go time now. I gotta be here by lap this, and he just can make it happen. And outside of all that, I've had quite a few conversations with JR about setup stuff. He's very smart when it comes to setting cars up, and he understands them, and he gives really good feedback, and he can tell you exactly what it's doing, or he can just look at tire temperatures and say, okay, car's going to do this over a 100-lap race. And that's a skill that I think a lot of guys just don't have anymore. It's they're
pretty
so
freaking cool.
Yeah. And I went down to Delaware there on Friday night, and sometimes some of the drivers that you're talking to, you say, what's the car doing? And they say, I don't really know. And, you try to talk it out with them. But with guys like JR, you can just say, how's the car? And I'll say, it's doing this, this, and this. I think I need to change this, this, and this. What do you think? And you can have that conversation with him. So I think that really plays into his hand. And don't get me wrong, there is other guys on the tour like that. I'm not saying JR is the only one by any means. But I just think you take that and you combine it with the experiences that he's had over the years, and you create a pretty dominant force in the APC series. So, besides him, I don't want to talk about JR anymore. He's already going to be texting me, I'm sure, this week. But besides that, obviously Stackley is the next best thing. I've said that right from day one. He's the same way. He has a really good understanding of the cars. I've had a few conversations with him where we talk about a lot of setup stuff, and his knowledge for a young kid is just
unbelievable.
It's mind blowing. It really is.
It is.
So he's another one.
He's still not even out of high school yet.
That's what I mean.
That's insane.
Oh yeah,
I don't know anything about that. So, geez, I still
Kyle is
cars,
so. That kid's amazing. Yeah,
he is. And I think when I was in high school, I think I knew how to check the air pressure in the mini stock, but as far as setup
shotgun
stuff
a beer in under 3 seconds, probably.
yeah. That's right on the resume. That's top page back then, but no, everything, when I was in high school, man, and we were racing mini stocks, everything we did, everything that we figured out about the cars was just dumb luck. We'd be oh, let's change this and see if it works. And holy crap, it works. And then half the time we'd have guys ask us, what do you do for this? What do you do for that? What do you do for this? And it's I don't know, man. I just, we built the car and we come out and we race the thing. And for whatever reason, we had a lot of success with that. But yeah, I think, there's on any given APC event, I think there's 10 to 15 guys that could win. It's the talent pool there is really deep. The equipment there is unbelievable. Nobody's showing up with a car that's not going to be able to compete. So, the tour is very difficult. It's very tough, but that's at the end of the day, if you're a racer, that's what you chase, right? You chase that competition, and at the end of the day, it's just going to make you better. So, also, I apologize if I do ramble. Just tell me to shut the heck up. I do have a habit of talking a lot, I've been told. But
I may have been warned that if you came on the podcast, we wouldn't have to do any talking. So that's perfect.
I'd like to know who said that.
I'm not going to say his name, Jordan Buster. but Buster definitely knows. And it's funny because he's normally the guy that's actually talking to you all the time during the race.
Oh yeah.
Now, about that actually is I actually thought about this because actually Jordan has a really good YouTube channel where he posts audio, and I'm actually very curious how the process is to find a spotter. Is it literally just somebody that you kind of just randomly end up with, or do you actually seek somebody out? Like in the process of finding Jordan, was it somebody that you knew already? Because I'm very curious about how that works, because it's not like a big NASCAR team where they go through a hiring process and all that.
Mm-hmm. So this is actually Jordan, I would say, is one of the luckiest things that's ever happened to me. I didn't really know him. I knew his name and stuff, but essentially what happened was at the end of the 21 season, I was pretty much done racing. I was pretty much out of money. I was pretty much out of everything. Was down on myself. We had a tough year. A lot of things went wrong, and it was one of those things where I never was going to be done, but I, tossed it around and talked about it a lot and said, put both my cars up for sale and everything. Like I was, like I'd say 1 foot out the door kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
And my spotter at the time, Brody, I told him, I was thinking about quitting racing and blah, blah, blah. And he ended up moving on to a different team, which, he messaged me and said, like, this is my idea. This is what I might do. Are you cool with that? And I said, absolutely. You have an opportunity, go do it. And he ended up being Connor James's spotter. So about, I would say January time, I still had the race car. I picked up some support from some people that were like, we don't want you to stop racing, keep racing, blah, blah, blah. So we kept to it, decided, let's go back to the APC series again. Let's give her one more go. And I got a message from Jordan, and he basically just said, if you're looking for a spotter this year, I'm available. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. Like, I'll talk to you maybe. I don't know how much racing I'm doing. And then when we decided, yeah, okay, let's go full-time racing, I messaged him back and I'm like, hey man, if you're still available, like I'd love to have you out, give you a shot at least, not really knowing. So it's kind of funny because he used to spot for Connor James. So me and Connor just did a
swap.
Yeah. Nice.
And
you swapped
Jordan,
spotters with Connor James.
Yeah, weird.
Most people
leave your keys in a bowl, and
they can't say that they've swapped spotters with Connor James, man.
No.
This podcast is going to be rated explicit, man.
Yeah,
it might have to be.
swinging spotters.
Yeah. But it was just one of those wacky deals where I got lucky with Jordan. I mean, he came on and instantly he was really good on a radio, really crisp, really precise. And then he started, talking about wanting to do some PR stuff, and he started doing videos and he started doing some other stuff. And it was like, oh my God, like this guy's amazing. Like where have you been all my racing career?
Jordan is really good.
So
but how do you balance between the, like, if when you're getting that initial stage of him spotting, do you have to change what you like, or is it like he's got to change what he's doing, or is it just kind of like you guys got to work it out type of thing? Because one of the things I'm very curious about is that spotting relationship is like, how do you know if somebody's spotting too much, right? You just tell them to shut the fuck up, really? Is that what it is? Or is it like a matter of just like, okay, you're giving me way too much information or not enough information, that type of thing? Because again, one of the things we're learning about a little bit more is the craft behind spotting, and I don't think it gets enough attention.
Oh yeah, it's definitely a craft. I would say, like, for me, I'm not extremely picky. I can block out things pretty easily. It's pretty good selective listener. But with
just
Jordan,
what a spotter wants to hear.
Yeah,
Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. So
there you go, Jordan.
Yeah. But no, Jordan's really good. He like we had that conversation when we first started. He's like, what do you want? What do you not want? Do you want this? Do you not want that? And I told him, I'm like, look, I don't need a ton of info. I'm not even really concerned with what's around me. Let me know what's going around everywhere else. Let me know who's fast. Let me know who's coming. Let me know who's going, kind of deal, like stuff like that. And he's really good at listening to what I give him as feedback and taking it really well and really applying it as far as that goes. So no, he's really good. And I've had like way too many spotters. I probably got more spotters than ex-girlfriends, but and I've had really good spotters.
This is leading more and more on the Connor James swap story. Here we go. Jeez Louise.
Oh man. Sorry, Connor. Congrats on getting married.
Yeah, there we go. Sorry, Taylor.
Oh man, this is the best.
Anyways, yeah, so that's I mean the spotting deal, that's obviously a big thing in motorsports, but for yourself in the APC series, those races again, it is constantly like I can't imagine it's easy to concentrate while trying to like navigate your way through, say, traffic at like a Flamborough if somebody is constantly like in your ear. But as a driver, I guess like you said, you're able to block it out.
Yeah, and a lot of the times when you're in traffic, you got so much going on, especially at a place like Flamborough. Like it is so tight. And it gets rough, right? But like a lot of those times, he's giving you stuff you can see, but he's also giving you stuff you can't see, and just reassuring kind of what you already know. Like still outside, still at your door outside, at your tail outside, you're getting a better runoff, don't drive in so deep, stuff like that. So you can definitely pick bits and pieces out of there, and I would say as far as Jordan goes, I probably listen and like actually listen to, I'd say, about 95% of what he's telling me. There's certain times where I just kind of block him out, and there's certain times too where I'll come back on the radio and say something back to him, like, no, he'll say, start pushing, we're at lap blah blah blah, and I'll come back on the radio and I'll say, no, we're gonna wait 10 more laps, or no, we're gonna wait 15 more laps, or I don't care if this guy's behind me, let me know when JR gets behind me. There's times to turn it on, there's times to not turn it on, and sometimes like the odd time he'll say, it's time to get going, and I'll say no. So and that's all up to me. That's whatever I want. But I think me and Jordan have had one conversation where I said, you gotta tell me this, and he's like, yep, no problem, and it went away. So he's naturally really good at what he does. He's a really good speaker. He's very precise in what he says. So he's the total package, and I hope he sticks around for a while. But I don't know.
It seems like, again, like you have to have good chemistry with a spotter, with a crew chief, with team members. But you as a driver, of course the APC series, when we talk about that specifically, and of course even racing at Sunset in their late model division, late models I feel are just the closeness is just way more. We are big fans of the Pinty series, big fans of local racing, but in some of those races there tends to be a leader that gets out way far away. And I'm not saying that the APC series doesn't have that at times, but it seems like you're always in traffic, always with lap cars, always battling no matter what, because you guys aren't going to a race like CTMP, although that would be very interesting to see how late models do on those. But you're never really away from anybody. Peterborough, Sauble, Sunset. They're not big tracks. So I want to bring it back to how you would handle Delaware, compared to, say, this really, really small tracks. And I'm going to throw in a great memory for all of us, Jukasa as well. So how would you compare the bigger tracks? Like, how do you race those compared to the small ones?
Yeah, you definitely approach it differently. When you go to Flamborough, it's so crowded that you can't give guys room,
Mhm.
like it'll be lap 5 and you might door someone and you might get doored, but that's Flamborough. That's the way it's going to be. It's tight racing. These are big cars on a very small track. So, you have to kind of expect stuff like that. Whereas like Delaware and Jukasa, and I'd even throw Sunset in that as being different. Yeah, because Sunset has a lot of room.
Okay.
Sunset is a place that, as we saw even in the Pinty series this past weekend, like we saw Donald, Marc Antoine, and I want to say Kevin Lacroix were 3 wide for a full lap.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody touched anybody until corner 1 the following lap.
Yes.
Which is a whole nother story. I might have been on a headset with Donald, so I shouldn't say my opinion on that one, but but at those types of tracks, Delaware, Jukasa, and even Sunset, there's so much room where you can give a little more respect to guys and hope that later in the race you'll get it back. Whereas Flamborough, I don't think there's any expectations that you're going to be clean before lap 20. You know what I mean? Sauble is another one where Sauble, I would say, might be the toughest, which is very surprising because as far as I know, it's the only racetrack in the APC series that has gone green to checkered without a single caution.
Yep.
Which is wild to me.
Absolutely nuts.
Because I describe Sauble as you are full throttle, then you are fully as hard as you can on the brakes, you're turning as far as you can to the left, and then you are right back fully onto the throttle again. So the fact that guys can stay off of other cars at that place is kind of mind-blowing to me. Sometimes, other times it's like, oh yeah, okay, here we go. We're wrecking more shit. But but at certain tracks, you could definitely plan the race a little differently. Sunset is, to me, it's an anomaly because it's a place where you have to really save your equipment. For a lot of, I would say, Flamborough races, you're doing almost 100 qualifying laps. The fall off is like very, very minuscule. So a place like Flamborough, you might attack right away, not save anything. Like you just hit go kind of deal. Whereas at Sunset last year in the opener, I think I started 13th, fell back to 19th, and then drove to 3rd. So it was one of those things where, off the bat, car wasn't necessarily great, and I was watching all these guys flying by me, going, I wonder if they're going to fall off a second or 2 seconds this year. But and you just wait for them to come back to you. It's just kind of that style of racing, right? It's more of a tire conservation race than it is you're racing against other cars. Whereas at Flamborough, you're racing the other cars. You're not racing the track. The track's not going to change. Your car's really not going to change unless you're having a bad day. But so every track kind of has its own personality. Peterborough, I find I kind of race myself because I'm not necessarily in as good of shape as I would like to be. And Peterborough is so physically demanding. And a lot of people don't realize that. So Peterborough, you are on the gas, I would say like 75% of a lap. And you go through 3 and 4 and you come off the gas, you tap the brakes, and you're right back on the throttle. And the G-force inside the car is like absolutely insane. It everybody I talk to, and this might blow your mind even more, Peterborough feels almost twice as fast as Jukasa feels, because you're going from
makes sense
from the end of the straightaway to the start of the corner.
Yeah, you can kind of see
you're there.
Yeah.
Like you carry a ton of speed through the corners. You come off the corner with a ton of speed, and like you're barely full throttle before you're already into corner one kind of deal. Whereas at Ducasa, you're on the throttle in the middle of the corner, you're holding it wide open, and halfway down the straightaway, you're sipping your macchiato and reading the newspaper, and then you go into the corner, right? So it's like
pulling a Jean Girard. Yeah, very nice reference.
Yeah, exactly. It's so big that you have so much time to, move around. You can look in your mirror. You can look in the grandstand for pretty girls. You can do whatever, right? Just because the track is so big. Whereas Peterborough, you're standing on the brakes every, it feels like every 3 seconds. So, but yeah, so I always feel like by lap 50, I'm like, oh my God, I need to start hitting the gym or more, or eating better, or doing something. But Jesus, so it's a tough place too.
That's probably the best dissection track to track that I think.
Great, I can tell Grain's loving
episode.
This.
Yeah, I love it. I like, as a driver, like a racing nerd, wannabe racer, I love hearing that stuff and what makes each track special, because it's not like the States where they'll say like cookie cutter tracks have their uniqueness to it. But I mean, we truly do. I mean, the tracks around here don't get the repaves every 25 or 30 years like they do in the States, and the winters are twice as hard for a lot of our tracks. Since we're talking about that, Sunset, I mean, you can speak to a lot of the tracks in Ontario, but like Sunset in particular, in the years that you've raced on it, do you feel the age year to year? Is there like bigger gaps in the pavement, or like heaves that don't go away, or whatever?
There's been a couple years, like obviously Sunset would it be, well, with the exception of Ducasa and I guess what they paved at Delaware, Sunset's one of still our newer tracks, right? Because they redid it in 2009 or 2010. So at the start, when did I first race there? I think I raced there 2 or 3 years after it was repaved. But at the start, it was like glass. Like it was so smooth. It was like Ducasa, right? Yeah. Just really smooth. And then as the years went on, it started to develop a little more character. It got a little rougher. And then as the years went on, those bumps that started to come around like 2014, 2015, now they're pretty rough actually. So
yeah, you can see the cars like,
oh yeah. Yeah. So, year to year, there's definitely years where you're like, oh, okay, that bump got a lot worse, or this got a lot worse, or that got a lot worse. But like the overall characteristic of the track is still the same. I can still go there and no, chances are 20 laps in, I'm going to be free off too. You know what I mean? So there's certain characteristics that definitely carry over. But there are the odd new ones, but as far as Sunset goes, I would say it probably hasn't really changed in the last 3 or 4 years. It's mostly the same old track that I know I love, but a lot of people really hate it. But I love that place. I can't get enough of it. It's been my home track for, I don't know, since 2015 or 2016, and I know, talking to Kyle Steckley, he is not friends with that track, but he's getting there. He's getting as much experience as he can. And I told him too, like, it took me a long time to figure that place out. And it takes a lot of guys a long time. I've had quite a few guys over the years who raced at Flamborough or Delaware, and they get a hold of me somehow and say, what do I got to do at Sunset? It's just, well, you got to get seat time. That's all it's about. And I can tell you what to expect, but you probably won't believe me anyways. So you'll just go out and do your own thing. So, you got to kind of find out for yourself. I had that conversation with Kyle last year at the start of the year. I was like, man, if you do anything in this race, conserve until lap 75. Like, just save your stuff. Trust me. And he was like, yeah, okay, I understand. I'm like, no, seriously, Kyle, take it easy the first 50 or 75 laps. And he's like, okay, yeah. And then he went out and he got the lead. And I think his eyes got about this big. And he battled with Jake Sheridan for about 25 laps. and I think I went by him around lap 60 or so. And then after the race, I was in tech, and he walked up after the race, and he's like, "Yeah, I didn't take you serious enough." But yeah. Well, I said to him, I was like, "It's just."
But he learned that day for sure.
That's right. That's right.
He's now won there. Because,
he has.
He did listen. So, Danny, we could obviously go on for hours talking about all this, but before we get to your partner shout out, I would really like to know, because late models are a dime a dozen. They are one of the best racing series. APC, you guys put on a great show. There's a great new partnership with GeForce TV, Rev TV Canada, and of course Racing America, where they're going to showcase you guys across America and across Canada now. So obviously a great new partnership, but we know that there's a lot of great late model racers. Now, taking Bubba Pollard out, taking Ty Majeski out, who's next that you'd like to see of anybody? That you could pick any driver to come run an APC series race, who would it be?
That's a good question. I might have to think about that for a minute. I would say Derek Griffith, but he kind of, in a way, because he came up and ran Jukasa, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, okay, it kind of already happened. Let me think. Derek Thorne. That's
Derek
easy.
Thorne. That's a good one. Yeah,
I had to think about it for a minute, but yeah, definitely Derek Thorne. That guy's unbelievable. Like, talk about know your stuff, know your equipment, just the ultimate package you want in a driver.
Yeah.
He's another Bubba Pollard. He's another Ty Majeski. Maybe not as well known, just because he kind of sticks to his own deal in the Southwest there, but obviously his success at the Derby has really turned a lot of heads towards him. So I'd probably say Derek Thorne. It'd be cool to get Cole Butcher out here.
Yes.
Another Canadian. I've met Cole a few times and had a few conversations with him, and would love to see him come out. He was in the Kawicki development program a year before I was. So I believe he was the first Canadian in it, and I think I was the second Canadian in it. So we kind of bonded over that a little bit. Other than that, I could throw out a few names. Jeremy Doss would be one. He was in the driver development program with me, and he is very good. Just naturally talented. Anything, legend cars, dirt cars, midgets, late model, street stocks, you name it, he's won in it, right? So he's another guy I would say definitely would love to race against him. Stephen Nassy, another guy.
Have to get him.
Oh yeah. He's another guy that would be great to have come up. Carson Kwapel.
Yeah.
Again, I feel like I'm just naming all the kids that I was in Kawicki with at this point, but they're
missing a big one. Come on, Josh Berry.
Josh Berry, sure. I count him as a NASCAR driver now. He's above us, man. He's too cool for us.
Too cool. Yeah.
No.
All the NASCAR guys doing stuff at North Wilkesboro, I guess we could say Dale Jr. could do a late model race up here. That would be great.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Great. Yeah. I lose his mind, but
yeah, that'd be crazy. Yeah. But man, Dan, I'm glad you did shout out some of the guys that you were in the Kawicki driver development program with, because I mean that was on my list of stuff to ask you, is just the talent that you got to be around there, and just that had to be a remarkable experience for sure. We could do a whole damn show on that alone. I think we could. But we do want to give you the chance right now, Danny, to shout out all the people that help you out and get you to the track. And that car looks pretty awesome this year with that the fresh North Country paint scheme. So let her rip, man. Who do you got in your corner?
Yeah, thanks, man. Speaking of doing a whole damn show, I think we could do a whole damn show on that. But no, obviously, I got a lot of my sponsors back. I'm really lucky. Over the years, I've kept pretty much every sponsor I've ever had, and had a really good relationship with them. And then obviously with North Country property maintenance coming on this year, that was really big for our team. I'm one of those guys where I don't, not to overshare, but I pay for a lot of the racing out of my own pocket. It's it's one of those things. I've never had a big sponsor. I've never, obviously I have Mobile One, and they've been great support over the years. But they can only do so much, and they spread it out over a large group of other people, right? Which is fantastic for racing in Ontario. But with North Country coming on board, it's really more of a partnership than it is a sponsorship. I'm in constant communication with them about just stuff that we're doing, stuff that we got planned. If we go testing, they're either coming with us or they want a phone call afterwards to talk about it, right? So to have a sponsor that's that involved and that passionate about winning and doing well and competing and making sure that we do everything right, it's really big for our program, because that's something I've never really had before. So to be able to kind of have that partnership, it is huge for our team, and then all our other supporters too. Mobile One's back with us again this season, which is awesome. Like I said, to represent a big brand like that, a lot of people just know me as the Mobile One car, and because it's so recognizable, it's a big brand. It's it's on Cup cars, it's on you name it, it's on it, right? So I could go on, but and then I got a lot of sponsors that I've gotten either from my hometown or just guys that I know, or friends or buddies, or the old man down the road, whoever the hell it is, right? So GTA Fabrications, which is Graham Annis, I'm sure you guys know him. He has been, I would say, probably my biggest supporter, other than probably my parents, over the years. I started racing late models in 16, and I think he came on board in 17. And there have been nights where we've been out in the shop together till 3 a.m, and we just keep working and working and working, and we work really well together, and I have a great relationship with him. And then Graham Flat, which is Flathead Designs, he does all our graphics and makes us basically look good. Epic Racewear is back this year. They're amazing. I can see on your shoulder.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. Dan and Bob are both just unbelievable people.
Sure are. Yeah,
they are what I like to call real racers. When I started racing, I had a guy tell me, an older guy who'd been around for a long time, I won't say his name, but he told me, Danny, there's real racers and there's guys that they think are real racers, and you can tell the difference. It's pretty easy to see who would die for the sport and who is just here for whatever reason. I think the three of us can all agree that there's nothing else that we really think about in a day more than racing, So, and then Dan and Bob, they're both racers. They are real racers. They are passionate about it. They love it. They do everything they can to support it, which is awesome. Awesome for a lot of different people, and just overall just great for the sport. Botto Auto Service is back with us. Sam Master's back with us. just to kind of get through it a little quicker here. I feel like I'm rambling again.
It might be the record for the longest partner talk, but we're cool.
Man, I'm sorry.
They need. It's what they need. It's what we do, right?
Well,
yeah, man,
that's
this is
right.
awesome. I love it.
You know, I've said this to people before. Sponsors are the reasons you're at the track.
Yeah,
you know, and the relationship that you have with them has a big effect on what you can do at the track. So you know, love them all to death. And then all my guys are coming back this year. I'm not going to go through and name them all. They know who they are. And they're an awesome group of people. They dedicate themselves so much. They spend quite a few late nights either at the track or, you know, the odd time at the shop. So my guys are all awesome. And then my dad obviously puts a ton of effort into it. I think when we started with the APC series, we showed up to sorry guys, I'm rambling, but we showed up to Sauble Speedway. This is just a quick story, I swear. We showed up to Sauble Speedway, and it was on a Friday night that year for some reason, and it was 2019, and it was just me and my dad. That was it. And our spotter showed up at race time, and throughout the whole day, it was just me and my dad. I would come off the track, belts would start flying. I'd get out of the car as quickly as I could, check tire temperatures, make a small change, get back in the car, go back on the track. And that was how we operated. And I took the lead on lap 97, and there was green, white, checkered. And Matt Pritico and I battled to the checkered, and he got me by a nose. But it was funny because I got out in victory lane, and there's his 20 guys, and beside me is my dad. And that was it. And that's all we had. Obviously since then we've come a long way, and we've been really lucky to gain a lot of people that help and support me. But you definitely it makes you remember those days where, you know, maybe you did something that you probably shouldn't have been doing, right? You know, to finish second in an APC series when it's just you and your old man. You know, it's something that I'll remember forever. And then he's the hardest working 6-year-old you'll ever see. That guy does not stop. I think he brings about 4 shirts to the track because he sweats through them so bad. but no, he's definitely the glue behind our team, and definitely the hardest worker. So.
Oh man, that's awesome.
It is a privilege to have you on the show, and to have you as an SNS driver this year, one of our few APC series drivers that we're so excited to have you. And honestly, man, this was fun, man, and we shouldn't have waited this long to have you on the show, but we're definitely going to have you back on again because there's lots more we can talk about. Obviously, we need to move on from Connor James. I think that topic is over.
Yeah, that's sailed.
We'll let him get on with his married life, and he'll have to forget about you. I'm sorry, Danny, but
yeah, I know.
Well, man, how am I going to explain this one? Thank you, everybody, for tuning in for Sunset Speedway month. It continues next week, and we can't thank you enough, Danny Benedict, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.